When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. Think constantly on the changes of the elements into each other, for such thoughts wash away the dust of earthly life. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Think of the life you have lived until now as over and as a dead man. See what's left as a bonus and live it according to nature. Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own. For what could be more fitting? Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself in your way of thinking. Let men see, let them know a real man who lives as he was meant to live. Try praying differently and see what happens. Instead of asking for a way to sleep with her, try asking for a way to stop desiring to sleep with her. Instead of a way to get rid of him, try asking for a way to not crave his demise. Instead of a way to not lose my child, try asking for a way to lose my fear of it. The memory of everything is very soon overwhelmed in time. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours. I have learned to read with diligence, not to rest satisfied with a light and superficial knowledge, nor quickly to assent to things commonly spoken of. You shouldn't give circumstances the power to rouse anger, for they don't care at all. It is the responsibility of leadership to work intelligently with what is given, and not waste time fantasizing about a world of flawless people and perfect choices. The mind freed from passions is an impenetrable fortress. A person has no more secure place of refuge for all time. That cucumber is bitter, so toss it out. There are thorns on the path, then keep away. Enough said. Why ponder the existence of nuisance? A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person. The best answer to anger is silence. Give thyself leisure to learn some good thing, and cease roving and wandering to and fro. Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible. You have been formed of 3 parts: body, breath, and mind. Of these, the first 2 are yours, insofar as they are only in your care. The third alone is truly yours. Don't return to philosophy as a taskmaster, but as patients seek out relief in a treatment of sore eyes, or a dressing for a burn, or from an ointment. Regarding it this way, you'll obey reason without putting it on display, and rest easy in its care. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason, which today arm you against the present. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, because an artful life requires being prepared to meet and withstand sudden and unexpected attacks. No random actions, none not based on underlying principles. Keep a list before your mind of those who burned with anger and resentment about something, of even the most renowned for success, misfortune, evil deeds, or any special distinction. Then ask yourself, how did that work out? Smoke and dust, the stuff of simple myth trying to be legend? Whenever someone has done wrong by you, immediately consider what notion of good or evil they had in doing it. For when you see that, you'll feel compassion instead of astonishment or rage. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Stay calm and serene regardless of what life throws at you. Kindness is invincible, but only when it's sincere. with no hypocrisy or faking. For what can even the most malicious person do if you keep showing kindness and, if given the chance, you gently point out where they went wrong, right as they are trying to harm you? How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he does himself, to make it just and holy. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. It is the person who continues in his self-deception and ignorance who is harmed. Dig deep within yourself, for there is a fountain of goodness ever ready to flow if you will keep digging. All you need are these: certainty of judgment in the present moment, action for the common good in the present moment, and an attitude of gratitude in the present moment for anything that comes your way. It is essential for you to remember that the attention you give to any action should be in due proportion to its worth, for then you won't tire and give up if you aren't busying yourself with lesser things beyond what should be allowed. Don't be ashamed of needing help. You have a duty to fulfill, just like a soldier on the wall of battle. So what if you are injured and can't climb up without another soldier's help? Whatever anyone does or says, for my part, I'm bound to the good. In the same way an emerald or gold or purple might always proclaim, whatever anyone does or says, I must be what I am, and show my true colors. The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. Pass through this brief patch of time in harmony with nature, and come to your final resting place gracefully, just as a ripened olive might drop, praising the earth that nourished it, and grateful to the tree that gave it growth. I learned to read carefully and not be satisfied with a rough understanding of the whole, and not to agree too quickly with those who have a lot to say about something. Life is short. The fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good. Wherever a person can live, there one can also live well. That which isn't good for the hive isn't good for the bee. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Here is a rule to remember in future. When anything tempts you to feel bitter, not "this is misfortune," but "to bear this worthily is good fortune." Live out your life in truth and justice, tolerant of those who are neither true nor just. We live only now. Everything else is either past or is unknown. To love only what happens, what was destined, no greater harmony. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. What we do now echoes in eternity. Understand at last that you have something in you more powerful and divine than what causes the bodily passions and pulls you like a mere puppet. What thoughts now occupy my mind? Is it not fear, suspicion, desire, or something like that? It isn't manly to be enraged. Rather, gentleness and civility are more human, and therefore manlier. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. This is the mark of perfection of character, to spend each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, laziness, or any pretending. Every living organism is fulfilled when it follows the right path for its own nature. The universe is transformation. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil. For it is in your power to retire into yourself whenever you choose. Your days are numbered. Use them to throw open the windows of your soul to the sun. If you do not, the sun will soon set, and you with it. Receive without conceit, release without struggle. You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. These things are not asking to be judged by you. Leave them alone. There is no nature which is inferior to art, for the arts imitate the nature of things. Frightened of change? But what can exist without it? What's closer to nature's heart? Can you take a hot bath and leave the firewood as it was? Eat food without transforming it? Can any vital process take place without something being changed? Can't you see? It's just the same with you, and just as vital to nature. Often injustice lies in what you aren't doing, not only in what you are doing. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question. What fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I'm about to criticize? If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient, for he that is so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. All cruelty springs from weakness. Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by rulers as useful. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. The life we receive is not short, but we make it so. We are not ill-provided, but use what we have wastefully. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. He who is brave is free. No man was ever wise by chance. They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. Only time can heal what reason cannot. If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according what others think, you will never be rich. Putting things off is the biggest waste of life. It snatches away each day as it comes, and denies us the present by promising the future. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what lies in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. What are you looking at? To what goal are you straining? The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Life is like a play. It's not the length but the excellence of the acting that matters. People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Leisure without books is death and burial of a man alive. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand. Life is long if you know how to use it. There is no genius without a touch of madness. We learn not in the school, but in life. While we wait for life, life passes. Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. But life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what lies in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. What are you looking at? To what goal are you straining? The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Withdraw into yourself as far as you can. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. To wish to be well is a part of becoming well. I am not born for one corner. The whole world is my native land. It does not matter how many books you have, but how good the books are which you have. It's not because things are difficult that we dare not venture. It's because we dare not venture that they are difficult. It is difficult to bring people to goodness with lessons, but it is easy to do so by example. He who spares the wicked injures the good. It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Nothing is burdensome if taken lightly, and nothing need arouse one's irritation so long as one doesn't make it bigger than it is by getting irritated. It is more civilized to make fun of life than to bewail it. Whatever can happen at any time can happen today. Of this one thing make sure against your dying day, that your faults die before you do. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. The part of life we really live is small. For all the rest of existence is not life but merely time. There is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with. No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. True happiness is to understand our duties toward God and man, to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence on the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is abundantly sufficient. To be always fortunate, and to pass through life with a soul that has never known sorrow, is to be ignorant of one half of nature. It is quality rather than quantity that matters. It takes the whole of life to learn how to live, and what will perhaps make you wonder more, it takes the whole of life to learn how to die. But when you are looking on anyone as a friend when you do not trust him as you trust yourself, you're making a grave mistake and have failed to grasp sufficiently the full force of true friendship. As far as I am concerned, I know that I have lost not wealth, but distractions. The body's needs are few. It wants to be free from cold, to banish hunger and thirst with nourishment. If we long for anything more, we are exerting ourselves to serve our vices, not our needs. For many men, the acquisition of wealth does not end their troubles, it only changes them. We cease to be so angry once we cease to be so hopeful. The difficulty comes from our lack of confidence. If we could be satisfied with anything, we should have been satisfied long ago. What really ruins our character is the fact that none of us looks back over his life. When a person spends all his time in foreign travel, he ends by having many acquaintances but no friends. If what you have seems insufficient to you, then though you possess the world, you will yet be miserable. I have learned to be a friend to myself. Great improvement this indeed. Such a one can never be said to be alone, for know that he who is a friend to himself is a friend to all mankind. Each day acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. And after you have run over many thoughts, select one to be thoroughly digested that day. Men do not care how nobly they live, but only for how long, although it is within the reach of every man to live nobly, but within no man's power to live long. Wild animals run from the dangers they actually see, and once they have escaped them, worry no more. We, however, are tormented alike by what is past and what is to come. A number of our blessings do us harm, for memory brings back the agony of fear, while foresight brings it on prematurely. No one confines his unhappiness to the present. Let us say what we feel and feel what we say. Let speech harmonize with life. Drunkenness is nothing but voluntary madness. Can you no longer see a road to freedom? It's right in front of you. You need only turn over your wrists. Brave men rejoice in adversity, just as brave soldiers triumph in war. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what is in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. People who know no self-restraint lead stormy and disordered lives, passing their time in a state of fear commensurate with the injuries they do to others, never able to relax. We are members of one great body, planted by nature. We must consider that we were born for the good of the whole. All this hurrying from place to place won't bring you any relief, for you're traveling in the company of your own emotions, followed by your troubles all the way. It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence. While we are postponing, life speeds by. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them. Practice yourself for heaven's sake in little things, and thence proceed to greater. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. We should not moor a ship with 1 anchor or our life with 1 hope. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. Man is not worried about real problems so much as his imagined anxieties about real problems. God has entrusted me with myself. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. No man is free who is not a master of himself. Don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and all will be well with you. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. If you want to be a writer, write. Nature hath given men 1 tongue but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. Difficulties show men what they are. In case of any difficulty, remember that God has pitted you against a rough antagonist that you may be a conqueror, and this cannot be without toil. It is not enough to possess a good mind, one must apply it. Only the educated are free. No evil propensity of the human heart is so powerful that it may not be subdued by discipline. Be careful to leave your sons well instructed rather than rich, for the hopes of the instructed are better than the wealth of the ignorant. He who exercises wisdom exercises the knowledge which is about God. Most of what passes for legitimate entertainment is inferior or foolish, and only caters to or exploits people's weaknesses. It is not he who reviles or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. It is difficulties that show what men are. We are not given complete control over things, but only over the use of our minds. It is better to die of hunger, having lived without grief and fear, than to live with a troubled spirit, amid abundance. A wise man is he who does not grieve for the thing which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about the things. He who follows reason in all things is both tranquil and active at the same time, and also cheerful and collected. It is impossible for a man to be freed from one thing if he is a slave to another. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. To accuse others for one's own misfortunes is a sign of want of education. Don't be concerned with other people's impressions of you. They are dazzled and deluded by appearances. What concerns me is not the way things are, but rather the way people think things are. To enjoy the things we out and to hate the things we out has the greatest bearing on excellence of character. No thing great is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone." It is not easy to keep your spirit, but you must not be defeated. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. We are not given control over things, but over our attitudes towards them. The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. No one is free who is a slave to their desires. Do not seek to bring things to pass in accordance with your wishes, but wish for them as they are, and you will find them. No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have. Appearances to the mind are of four kinds. Things either are what they appear to be, or they neither are, nor appear to be, or they are, and do not appear to be, or they are not, and yet appear to be. It is the nature of the wise to resist pleasures, but the foolish to be a slave to them. A ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. If you seek truth, you will not seek to gain a victory by every possible means, and when you have found truth, you need not fear being defeated. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. To accuse others for one's own misfortune is a sign of want of education. To accuse oneself shows that one's education has begun. To accuse neither oneself nor others shows that one's education is complete. If you want to be rich, do not add to your money, but subtract from your desire. It is not death or pain that is to be dreaded, but the fear of pain or death. It is not the act that disturbs people, but their judgments about the act. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Don't just say you have read books. Show that through them you have learned to think better, to be a more discriminating and reflective person. Books are the training weights of the mind. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. We should not give up, and we should not allow the problem to defeat us. God has entrusted me with myself. True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about the things.